this is Brandon from Watches on You. Today we're going to be taking a look at a very, very special piece. This is the Parmigiani Fleurier Toric Chronomètre. Now, this watch is very, very exceptional in the quality with which it's built, and it comes from a brand with a lot of heritage in the watch industry that a lot of people actually don't know about. So let's drop down to the inspection pad and we can take a closer look at this piece. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the Toric Chronomètre. Now, it's got a rose gold case with a 40.8 millimeter diameter, which I think is, it's slightly large for a dress watch, but it's still within the range that's definitely acceptable. It definitely will fit under a suit cuff. It's just a beautifully constructed case. You got a clear case back. We'll get into the movement a little bit later, but it's just beautifully constructed. So, moving on to the actual dial of the watch. Now, it's pretty interesting what they decided to do with this. Instead of having a black dial with a black date wheel or a white date wheel, they chose to have a white dial with a black date wheel, which is pretty cool. It looks really cool. It'll stick out from the crowd with regards to dress watches. If any of your colleagues at work or something know about watches, they'll definitely notice the watch. And moving on to that, a lot of people don't know about the brand of Parmigiani Fleurier. Now, they were actually established in the 1990s. Now, I know I said they have a lot of heritage, but bear with me. They actually do, because they make a lot of components for other brands. For example, they make the majority of Richard Mille movements, and that just attests to their watchmaking ability, as those are created to very high specifications with regards to shock resistance and other scientific things. So let's actually move on to, again, the movement. So it's got a 55-hour power reserve, and that is perfect. It's above 48 hours, above 2 days. That's my standard, meets it completely and exceeds it, actually. It's just fantastically made. Now, moving on to the back of the watch, we can see that movement and see how well made it is. It's got just the beautiful Cote de Genève on the back of the movement, and the rotor is just absolutely fantastically finished with the Parmigiani Fleurier logo in the middle there. It just reflects the light brilliantly. It's definitely above, I'd say it's above Patek Philippe quality. It's just beautifully made. And that brings me on to my next point. Now, this watch is for sale at Wixon Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota for $18,500. Now, a comparable Patek would be well above $30,000. And I think that's a little bit, it just attests to how good of value this watch actually is. For being a dress watch, it's fantastic. And especially, it's got the whole little unique features to it. And I haven't even gotten to the especially unique part. Everything on this watch was built with principles from mathematical antiquity. And what I mean by that is everything was made with proportions such as the golden ratio on this watch, and it's actually all featured in this little book that comes. It's only about this watch. This is not a catalog or anything that has other watches in it. Parmigiani made a specific book only for this watch, explaining the inspiration for the various design details, and it's just a beautifully made thing. It's just, everything in this watch was well thought out, well engineered. And let's actually move on to a wrist shot of this watch. Now, it comes on a buckle, which is easy to take on, or easy to put on and take off. It's just wonderful. I actually prefer them to a lot of watches have dressy deployment clasps that tend to fall off. I don't really like that. I like how they chose to use a buckle. So let's again move on to a wrist shot here. So the 40.8 millimeter case size is excellent on the wrist. I have a slightly above average size wrist, but I'd say that's, it's a little bit big for a dress watch, but it's definitely still acceptable. I think it wears a little bit bigger just because it's got kind of that dial that's pretty minimalist. I'd say that it wears more like a 42, but again, still acceptable for a dress watch. No complaints there at all. It's just a beautifully made watch. And so, in conclusion, if you want to learn more about this watch, please remember to look at the links in the description and subscribe to the channel if you like this video and want to see more watch videos. So, thank you.